Alright, so we're going to be talking about RWBY today. And yes, I'm very well aware that this series has garnered a lot of criticism. But today's RWBY video is going to be about how can we improve Volume 9 as a whole. And if anyone is concerned, no, I am not associated with any of the more popular RWBY channels that do talk about the series and give a good critique on them. I don't know these YouTubers and they don't know me. So yeah, this is all based off of my thoughts. From the internet's perspective, RWBY Volume 9 is between camps. You either love it because you like the certain decisions they made, you hate it because of those decisions that were made, completely dumbfounded on how things are connected even though it kind of doesn't matter, or the straight up fact that you've given up and you're just watching the series until it completely ends. That's what I've seen from that perspective. For me, I would say I'm in the camp of Volume 9 isn't perfect, but it's fine. Honestly, environment and world building wise, it really did help out the series because I know a lot of people complain about how RWBY has this interesting world, but they really don't explore the locations of Remnant, which, yeah, I kind of have to agree that if you have all these continents, you need to explore at least a few of them throughout the season. Although there are some things that slightly pissed me off. Okay, so a bit of a fair warning for anyone that thinks about misogyny whenever they hear a man talk about Mary Sue's. I am not a misogynist and I am not sexist. This is solely based on my observation of the scene as a whole. Do not take it further than that. Thank you. Only valid criticism only. To keep it 100%, I am not a fan of the smoke scene that RWBY, Yang, Weiss, and Blake go through. I feel like it is an unnecessary waste of time for them to establish, oh, I'm super powerful. I'm a cat. I am the daughter of a businessman and a drunk. I don't know who I am. Yeah, we always knew that. Now, if you look at it from a more in-depth perspective, it's probably just Miles and Carrie pointing out the fact that, hey, we know that our characters barely have personality to them, so here you go. Here's their personality. And if that's the case, I really don't like that. Guys, don't do that. Now, my version of this scene is slightly different, but it kind of gives out the same message. Instead of the girls talking to their past selves, they had to literally get into a hand-to-hand combat fight with the past version that is in front of them. And as Weiss, Yang, and Blake are fighting their past selves, they notice that there's slight room for improvement. Yang notices that she has weak points, Weiss notices that she needs to improve her semblance a lot more, and Blake finally realizes that, hey, I just need a new weapon. For Weiss, she addresses the fact that her semblance is very powerful, but in order for her to use it, she needs to stand on the magic circle emblem in order to even create an attack move. Now, the best solution for this situation is that Weiss learns how to put her semblance into Myrtenaster. Myrtenaster is not only a very powerful weapon in this state, but she also doesn't have to rely on standing on the circle. She can jump around as much as she wants, but be careful on how much dust she's using because, well, Myrtenaster is still a weapon. It is not a magical object. Now, as for Blake's new weapon, I'm going to give her tonfas and nunchucks. It's, yes, I did say weapon as in singular, but just for the sake of convenience, we'll give her a secondary weapon. Now, this may seem like I'm overpowering Blake with two weapons. Well, I'm not. This would actually teach her the lesson of how to fight in long-range combat and short-range combat when you're in either a small, tiny room or in a big area. Granted, most people say, hey, all weapons in RWBY come with guns, but we're going to take the gun aspect out of these two weapons. Make it a little bit harder for her, but again, she also learns how to fight two different ways. Now, the solution to Yang's is quite simple. She needs to learn how to emit her semblance as a fireball attack. You could have it where she charges up her semblance after she gets hit so many times. And the way she figures it out is that she notices that her semblance is flowing through her entire body. And then she thinks to herself, wait a minute. I want to see if I can channel this out. She does it. Boom. Doesn't automatically defeat the clone, but makes little fireballs and is just throwing them at him, and the clone is just trying to figure out, and then eventually she gets the clone, bing bada boom. She no longer needs a gun attachment. She still keeps the gauntlets though. Now, as for RWBY herself, instead of her having a clone pop up, it could just be the void of the smoke. she's just sitting there, doesn't know what's going on until she gets snapped out of it. And yeah, that's the only thing I would change about that scene. So before we move on to this next point, I would just like to say the stuff I am about to talk about is a very serious matter. Mental health is not a joke. It is a very serious issue that a lot of people deal with every day. And if you or anyone else in your family or friend is dealing with it, please help them seek the help that they need, or tell them that there are places they can go to receive the help that they need. My criticism of this point is valid, but at the same time, I do show a little bit of respect. Thank you for listening to this disclaimer. I will say that the writers did a phenomenal job showing someone who's depressed through Ruby's perspective of her being a leader, but I don't think that her depression comes from the pressure of becoming a leader and then figuring things out as you go. I think it's from the sole fact that her plan did not work. And the reason why I bring that up is that she is a literal jerk. Like, she progresses to becoming a jerk to her teammates. To start it off, right here in this image, this is where Jaune is explaining the schedule that he has for the paper pleasers with the different types of natural disasters that go on in the village, and also the fact that he's mapped out different ways on how to find a portal out of the ever after. Now granted, Blake, Weiss, and Yang do criticize his plans a little bit for how outlandish they are, but they do respect him because they know that he's been through a lot and he just wants to talk to them and hang out with them so that they can get their mind straight and figure out how to get out of there. But the entire time, RWBY is just sulking and sulking and sulking. And yes, depression makes you think this way. But at the same time, RWBY, you need to listen to what Jaune says. He's been here the longest. You need to listen. And honestly, this leads up to my favorite scene of the volume. Jaune going in on RWBY for being an absolute hypocrite. He literally says, it's all about you. That plan was completely stupid. We should have never done it in the first place. How can you justify making a plan like that? I suffered because of your plan. I had to do something because your plan failed. It's all about you. Jaune is also going through a mental health crisis. But when someone who's going through a crisis addresses somebody's hypocrisy who's also going through a crisis, that says a lot. RWBY was being selfish because she didn't want to take responsibility. And honestly, I can't change this scene. This scene is absolutely perfect. But you're probably wondering to yourself, well, what would you change about this whole mental health saga? Well, the ending. Specifically, RWBY drinking the tea. Now, anyone who has either studied or experienced this word that RWBY had committed by drinking the tea knows for a fact that, how can I say it? A lot of people did not agree with how they handled this. And honestly, in my opinion, it's not as bad as a lot of people says it is, because I had to rewatch it in order to make this part of the video. But I will say that they should have just went the extra mile and be a little bit more real with it. But at the same time, I have to remember this was under the contract that they had with Warner Brothers before the series got put on the shelf temporarily. And all I have to say is the only thing I would change about this scene is that don't put tea, but put a blurred image of something on the screen that shows up in RWBY's vision and cut it off right there. The same thing happens all over again, but it's a little bit darker and a lot more serious. I'm not going to explain this part. I'm just going to let you guys figure it out. I wonder if anyone guessed green eggs and ham. Now, to be honest with you, Bumblebee is a ship, from my perspective, it's not bad. It really is not bad when you really look at it. People are hooking up together nowadays, whether it be in fiction or in real life. Hey, if you love that person, be with that person. And my motto is this: as long as you're not doing anything illegal, I could care less who you're with. But no, back to the topic of Bumblebee and how it was set up. The setup was bad. it was obviously dragged out for money. Obviously. The payoff was okay, but I kind of feel like they deliberately forced these two to confess with each other on that bridge puzzle challenge mental landscape place thing. And it's like, why would you write it like that? Granted, I know the show was about to get shelved at that point, but wouldn't it have been better if you had Blake and Yang confess to each other after all four of the girls beat the curious cat? That honestly would be better. I don't understand the writing sometimes, you know? And speaking of the writing, that is the last section, but I want to give you guys a little bit of bonus content. RWBY Volume 9 made Jaune Arc the best character in RWBY within the span of a few years in show and a few episodes in real life. I've never seen Jaune this perfect. I like the fact that he's grown up, and I also like the fact that he does not joke around, well, when it's not necessary. Jaune should have stayed this way going back to Remnant. Could have started a whole arc about him realizing that he's older now and his friends are younger. And you want to know what they did? They reverted him back, all the way back to his Volume 7 design. I don't like that. We get all this character development, and yet it got reverted back physically. If anything, his age should have been reverted back 10 years, because honestly, his 40s design his age is he's supposedly in his 40s. I like that design. They should have kept it. Just clean up the armor. That's all they had to do. Aside from the major changes that I did focus on in this video, what do I think of the writing of everything else in Volume 9? Honestly, it's fine. It can all practically stay the same. It won't really affect the story all that much, but I will say that RWBY Volume 9, in my opinion, should have been 2 split cores. I know the season was only, I think, 10 episodes, but let's say it had 12. The first 6 episodes could focus on the ever after and how Team RWBY and Jaune are planning on getting out, while the next half focuses on Ren trying to be the leader, while everyone in Vacuo is just scatterbrained and trying to figure out how they're going to defend themselves against Salem. Now, how would I end Volume 9 on a good cliffhanger? Let's say if the show wasn't being shelved at the time. I feel like the way I would end Volume 9 is with a cliffhanger. You know, with the last few minutes of the episode show that Ren has figured out a way how to unite Vacuo and Atlas as one community so that they can meet up with the other kingdoms and figure out how to take down Salem. While off in the distance somewhere, you can see that Salem is coming, and it just cuts to black. That's all there needs to be. Just cuts to black, and you just gotta wait for Volume 10. Now, what is my opinion on the likeliness of Volume 10 even happening at all? Well, all you can do is really just sit down and wait and see. Obviously, Viz Media is trying to promote the Blu-rays, but it's kind of like at the same time, the Blu-rays already exist of these series, and those Blu-rays are more expensive. I actually made a video about that. You can check it out on the channel. But yeah, the only way Volume 10 I think is going to happen is that either a lot of merch is going to have to get bought, or they go with a Japanese studio and do it the Ice Queen way and make it all 2D, which I am all for. I feel like RWBY looks better in 2D animation and 2D art. So yeah, that's how I would make RWBY Volume 9 better. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.